Okay, so you guys made your own set of flashcards for the phases of the moon, and I made mine. And you can see that when you have all of the waxing phases, so as the moon is growing, the moon should be lit on the right-hand side. And I tried to see that in all of your flashcards. Some of them were a little hard to read, so make sure that when you're in the waxing phases, that you always have the moon lit on the right-hand side. And then when you are in the waning phases, so you're still waxing and the moon is lit on the right-hand side, full moon. Then the waning phases, the moon is lit on the left-hand side, okay? But the whole idea with this was to make a flip book. Have you ever made a little flip book where you should be able to put your finger, like your thumb there, and flip it and watch something grow? Well, if you try it with the paper you have, with just what we have here, it's pretty underwhelming, okay? Because you really only have 8 flashcards for the phases of the moon. And the moon doesn't have, it's not that it goes through its cycle in 8 days. These are just kind of the basic shapes of the phases of the moon. So to get from new moon to waxing crescent, you have like the teeniest sliver on the right-hand side, and then the sliver gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger until you get kind of what you call a waxing crescent. Then to get from the waxing crescent to the first quarter, this crescent gets a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger until you get to the first quarter. Okay, and then the first quarter grows just a little bit more into the what we call through the waxing gibbous phase, then a little bit until it gets all the way full, and then a little bit diminishing in the waning phases. So to make this a true flip book, we've got to add more index cards so that you can actually see it growing and shrinking. So that's what your project is for today, Tuesday, is that you're going to add in between. Now you don't have to label them. The labeled ones we're going to use later to be put information on the back about the position of the sun and the moon and the earth through these phases. So that's how you'll know the difference, is that the ones that have the labels of the names are the ones you're going to put the notes on the back of. But between each one, I think you need to add at least 2, maybe 3, showing the growth and the diminishing, so that when you actually go to make it a flip book and you put your thumb here and you can flip through, you can actually see the growing and then the diminishing. All right. If you don't understand what I am talking about, please feel free to email me and I'll set up a Google Meet time. But you also might need to, like I noticed with my index cards, they're a little bit too far in. So I would take a pair of scissors and just cut off a little bit here, because this needs to be pretty much toward the edge of the page for the flip book to really work. Okay, so you can actually see what's happening. So that's your project, basically coloring. Add in between phases so that you can actually watch the moon grow and shrink. All right, and then tomorrow you have a vocab quiz over weeks 25, 26, and 27. And then vocab does come back on Wednesday. You'll have a new set of vocab. All right. Happy coloring.